Okay, hi. So, how do I find and fulfill my God-given purpose? This is like my favorite topic of all time, because I love talking about purpose and what we are meant to do. And I feel like oftentimes when we start anything new, like a new venture, new relationships, a new job, new anything, and we find that there is some type of roadblock that we come up against, like something doesn't feel right, something isn't working, and you're like, and sometimes you prayed so hard for that thing, or you wanted that thing so bad, and you get that thing, and it still feel like it's not working. Like if you start a business and you're so gun ho happy about it right in the beginning, and then like a month goes by and you're like, this is not working, it feels wrong, or anything like that, right? I feel like that happens because sometimes we are not walking in our actual purpose. Like we're just doing what we want to do, right? And I feel like you have to come to a point where you figure out what your calling is, like what your assignment is. Everyone has an assignment. Everyone is chosen for something, right? Everyone, like First Peter says, you are a chosen people, a royal priesthood, a holy nations, God's special possession. Like everyone on this earth is chosen for something specifically. You are not meant to do everything under the sun, right? Sometimes we get confused and think that we have to do everything, we have to help everyone. That's a popular thing. And that's definitely not the case. We are chosen for something specific. It is just with sometimes time and experience, we find out what that thing is. But this is the time, this is the moment where you have to figure out what your purpose is, right? And this comes from, like, how do you figure that out? This comes from, like I said, time, experience, but really looking at the things that you are good at, the things that come natural to you. Like a lot of times people are going to come, your friends and your family are going to say, you're really good at X, Y, Z. And I think sometimes we brush that off and say, it's normal. Right? It's not normal though. Like other people can't do that. I remember my sister telling me, like, when I'd say stuff like, you can just wear this with this, because this color works with this. You can have like a monotone outfit. And I'm like, isn't that obvious? And she's like, no, because you went to school for fashion. Obviously, you know, right? And you've always been good at these creative things. And she's right. I assume that everyone knows what I know about fashion, even though that's not true, right? So what are you naturally good at? What are you naturally skilled at? What are you talented at? This can be something like in pertaining to your job, like your career. It can be something like a skill as in like you're a good communicator, right? Something like that, something that has to do with your personality type. All of those things have to be considered. All of those things have to be considered. For me, again, another example, like fashion was my chosen profession, but I also started a business because I wanted to help people, wanted to help women go further in regards to their purpose in business. I went to school for business as well. So I realized about myself, being an introvert, that I'm also a thinker. Like I go over things in my head over and over and over and over again, which some people can say that doesn't sound like a good thing. It is something that you have to keep in check, but because of that, I find that I can write really well. I find that I can do lives and be on there probably for about 30 minutes and be okay with just giving my opinions and thoughts, right? People are different for different reasons. And sometimes we find that things are not working, whether that be in our job, whether it be in new business, relationships. We find that things are not working because you're forcing things to work because you saw it work with someone else, or you think that this is going to work for you because it, again, worked for someone else, or it fit into someone else's life, and you feel like it's going to be different, be the same with you, I should say. You feel like this is going to work for you because it looks good on paper or anything like that, and you find that there's some type of block there because this is just not meant for you, right? when you are for business, if you are going into a program to help you skyrocket your business, and that person says this is going to be the program that takes you over the edge, this is going to be everything, because I'm going to give you the strategy. People say I'm going to give you the strategy to take your business to the next level, and you get super excited. This is it. This is the thing. There's the FOMO. You buy because you don't want to miss out on the thing, and you get the thing. You get the program, and you realize, this is not working. Right? You do everything to a T, and you realize that's not working. That's not that coach's fault, right? That's not that program's fault. It's just that it doesn't work for you. There is a reason why you are called to do what you are called to do, right? So you have a purpose, you have a calling, you are chosen for something specific, and we have to figure out what that is. So you have to take into account everything that you are good at. You have to really be in tune with yourself. Sometimes this takes time. Be in tune with yourself to recognize, I'm a good communicator. I'm good at XYZ. You have to know, why did you get the questions to ask yourself? Why did you get the job that you have previously had, before? What type of job did you have? Why were you good at it? Or why didn't you like it, right? What have family and friends said about you that they say that you're naturally good at? Anything like that. Those types of questions can really help you figure out, like, what I am chosen to do. What am I good at, right? Right? And then you walk into that. That's what you have to walk into. That is what you have to do. So if someone says, like I was giving the example of the business example of this program is going to work for you, they give you something and it doesn't work for you, we really have to figure out, well, what about that doesn't feel good to you, right? They may be telling you to have tons of phone calls with potential clients or something like that, and that doesn't feel good to you. But what does feel good to you, right? We have this way of thinking that one way, right, of doing something is the way, and there's nothing else, right? But that's not what you are supposed to be doing. We have this way of thinking that you just have to do it like that person, right? Right? Or this shiny new thing in front of me is going to work, whether that be a relationship or anything that you are walking into. This is gonna work, but it may not work, right? There may be a reason why two of you, if you're in a relationship, aren't meshing up with each other. We have to figure out who we are to figure out what we really want, right? And what we are chosen to do. And I feel like once you figure that out, literally everything else kind of comes into play. Like everything else comes into the right place. Everything works itself out, right? Because once you stay focused on that particular thing, this affects every aspect of your life. Once you figure out what you are called to do, what you are put on this earth to do, everything in your life comes into place because it affects everything. When you start walking in that, you attract certain opportunities. You attract certain people, the right people, right? You attract all of the right things into your life when you start walking into said purpose. Not focus, like fully focus on it, not focus on everything else that everyone's doing, not focus on something someone may have told you to do, like this is going to make you a bunch of money, or this is going to make your relationship amazing. Like, not all relationships work the same, not all businesses work the same because they don't have the same people in it. We're not robots, right? That there's different ways to do everything in life, in every aspect in life. So we have to figure out what that is. So once we figure out our calling, because some of us already know, some of us are still figuring out, still asking ourselves questions, really getting to know ourselves. That is very important. Once we figure out what the calling is, this is a pet peeve of mine. Once you know what the calling is, you have to make an action plan to go get it. Right? Nothing works without plans. Like you can't just figure out something and say, now I know what to do, and then sit on a couch. Obviously that doesn't work, right? You have to create a plan, because I firmly believe if you are put on this earth to do something and you are letting that thing go to waste, that is pre-programmed into you, that is a huge disservice that you are doing in this world, right? You now know what you are supposed to do. What is your plan of action to actually go get that thing, right? Write it out. What is your plan? Step 1, step 2, step 3. If you don't know what the steps are, research it, right? Google is your friend for a reason. Research said thing to figure out what you are supposed to do. You are not going to know every aspect. That's why you research. That's why you talk to people. That's why you talk to coaches. That's why you talk to mentors. That's why it is your job to figure out. But I have a big problem with people who just know what they are meant to do and then do nothing about it. I feel like you are not living up to who you are supposed to be, and that to me is a huge disservice to you and the world who needs to see you, right? So make an action plan to go get that thing. I can help you, or a mentor, anyone else, to help you make a plan, right? Then put it into motion. And then the last step of that is to never stop chasing. Never stop going after that, right? Never stop, because there are going to be, we know this, there's going to be not so great moments. We know that there's going to be some times where you don't feel like doing said thing, right? You don't feel like, you had a bad day, you had an off day, whatever the case is. But I don't want you to do something for a month and then call it quits, right? If you feel like God is pulling you in a different direction, of course, right? By all means. But this is not going to be easy, right? It will be. I just made a video that said it's going to be uncomfortable, because uncomfortable is equal to growth. That's just how it is. It's going to get uncomfortable at times, but we cannot stop because it gets hard. Right? We're going to have to tweak, and we're going to have to change things and shift things. We are going to probably have to change some things to get in more aligned to how we want it to look, or how we want it to feel, or this particular way doesn't seem to work for me, so I'm going to have to change it a little bit, right? All of those things are going to have to happen. It's happened to me many times, and it's still going to happen. Like, we're growing and learning and all that stuff, right? So never stop going after this, because like I just said, I feel like it's a huge disservice to the world and slap in the face to God, who pre-programmed all of these wonderful things into you for said purpose, right? Nothing is done on accident. It happened for a reason. This is the reason, because He knows that you were made to do this thing. That's why all of your sass, or all of your boldness, or all of the wonderful way you can communicate with people, right? All of your wonderful personality traits, which I feel like we don't talk about enough. All of your wonderful personality traits were put into you for said purpose. And if we just actually activate those things and actually stop looking at what we're not good at and start looking at what we're amazing at, and use that to do the things that we were called to do, I feel like we would go so far. But right now, collectively, I feel like some of us are barely, me included, some of us are barely scratching the surface, because maybe we haven't figured it out yet, which is okay. Or maybe we are just not going after it because it's hard, or we're just not going after it because one thing didn't work and now we've stopped, or right? And we're just doing ourselves a huge disservice, right? So finding, it's so important for you to find what your purpose is. I know some of us may still be working on this, but getting to know yourself more is highly encouraged. Asking yourself questions, asking your family and friends, what first comes to mind when you think about me? What do you feel like I excel in, right? You know yourself best, really, but sometimes it's nice to get some opinions going, right? What do I excel in? And to find out how you can utilize everything that you're good at to fulfill a calling. A lot of the time, it's already on our hearts what we're supposed to do. We just are not going after it, or we have stopped going after it. Or we say to ourselves, it's not cost effective to go after it, or I've had children, so I don't want to go after it. I have too much to do, and I just feel like it's excuses, right? I know that may rub people the wrong way, but I feel like it's excuses to say those things because there's tons of examples of people who have gotten things done in hundreds of different situations and toxic situations and so many things going on in all of our lives. But I feel like to just say I'm gonna not do something that I was called to do and make excuses, it's a huge disservice that you are doing to yourself and a slap in the face to God. That's just how I feel, right? So go after, figure out what that is. Even if you take some time, figure out what that is, make a plan of action, and then never stop chasing that, right? Okay,